午好。
下午好。
Very good.
Nice.
I feel very much a part of you guys.
我感觉我是你们的一部分。
We've had our third Chinese and English combined youth camp just recently.
我们刚刚最近有一次中国的青年人和KV 的青年人有一次营会活动。
If there's time after the service, there's some pictures on the computer you could see.
在这次聚会之后呢，你在后面有一些照片，你可以去看一下。
Various leaders and youth from both congregations came together.
我们有很多青年的领导人在这一次的聚会当中来到一起。
Han Li preached a very good message one day.
韩立有一个非常好的证道给我们。
It's a very clear presentation of the gospel.
他有非常的好的一个圣经的内容的一个好的讲明。
And one of our youth came to Christ.
然后有一个我们的青年人接受主耶稣基督。
Very excited.
非常的激动。
I also recently had the privilege of marrying a Chinese couple from the preschool.
我最近呢又有一个非常荣幸的事呢，就是我可以为一个中国的一对夫妇来为他们证婚。
And I've enjoyed working with Amy and Beryl on various things.
他要说他也非常的 enjoy 和 Amy 和 Beryl 一起工作。
I'll just ask. There are three types of people, I think, in churches.
我可以问你们个问题吗？我觉得有3种人在教会里。
Some are people who like things to be done right.
有一种人呢是喜欢所有的事情都要用一个最正确的方法做出来。
Some people are people who like things to just be done.
有的人呢就是非常希望一件事情能够被做完。
And some people are the sort of people who like us all to do things together.
还有一些人呢是喜欢我们能够在一起来做一个事工。
Some people might be like the prophets, do things right.
有很多人呢可能会像我们的先知一样，我们要做对的事情。
Like a priest, some others might say, let's just be together.
我们有很多的祭司，我们想说我们要聚在一起。
And like a king, some people might say, let's just do stuff.
或者像王一样，把所有的聚集在一起，我们有一个共同的目标去完成它。
How many feel like they are the prophet people? Let's do things right.
有多少人认为他是先知这一类的？把你的手举起来。
How many? How many would like to say, let's just do something?
有多少人觉得我们只要在一起来做一些事情就可以了？
Organizers, yeah. And how many are like, let's just stay together and be friends?
有多少人觉得我们就在一起，我们成为朋友就好了？
That's me. Okay.
我就是这样子。
This passage this afternoon is about the last kind. It's about staying together.
今天呢，我们的正道题目呢，其实讲的就是第3种人。
I've called the sermon "The Church a Diverse Unity."
我称为这个正道呢，作为的题目是教会一个多样的合一体。
The themes of unity and diversity are right through the whole Bible.
合一性呢和多样性是贯穿整本圣经的一个主题。
It starts with the creation story at the beginning.
它呢从起初神的创造的故事就开始了。
God, the one creator, makes one creation.
那神呢作为唯一的创造主做了一个创造。
The creation is incredibly diverse.
但是它的创造呢就非常的多样化。
Heaven and earth, land and sea, night and day.
有天堂，有地球，有地，有海洋，有日和夜。
Birds, insects, plants, animals, and humans.
有鸟类，有昆虫，有植物，有动物，也有人类。
Humanity also is very diverse.
人类也是多样性的。
There's not just one type of human.
你不能讲说那里只有一种人。
We have different genders, different ages, different races, different nationalities, different customs.
我们有不同的性别、年龄、种族或者是习惯。
The diversity of humanity is reflected, just hinted at, in Cain and Abel.
这样子的不同就折射在了亚伯和该隐的身上。
Particularly the fact that we have different jobs.
特别是呢，就像我们一样，我们有不同的工作。
different vocations.
有不同职业。
Cain tilled the fields, and Abel tended the flocks.
该隐呢就耕种土地，亚伯呢就照料羊群。
Humanity is very diverse.
人类是多样的。
And through one of those humans, Abraham, God calls together a unique collection of people.
通过一个人亚伯拉罕，神呼召了一群独特的人。
And these people are named after Abraham's grandson, who was named Jacob, who became called Israel.
那亚伯拉罕的孙子呢，我们就以他的孙子的名，就是本来是雅各，后来变为以色列，用以色列来命名这群人。
And so the people were called Israelites.
所以这群人就叫做以色列人。
They were called out of humanity, but also called to be a blessing to humanity.
他们呢是从人类中拣选出来的，也是为了人类的创造的缘故。
And these people are incredibly diverse.
那这些人都是不一样的。
12 tribes.
他们有12个支派。
Different roles for different leaders.
他们有担任着不同的领导的角色。
Prophet, priest, and king.
有先知，有祭司，也有王。
And this continues through the rest of the Old Testament.
这种状况一直延续了整个旧约。
God's people, Israel, never quite get it.
但是神的子民以色列人从来没有真正的领悟到。
They fail and they falter at being Israel for the world.
他们在世界面前扮演的是失败的和动摇的以色列人。
Until one person is born.
直到有一个人出世。
Who was truly Israel.
他是一个真正的以色列人。
Jesus, the true human, the true Israelite.
耶稣基督是一个完全的人，一个真正的以色列人。
He is the hub or the centerpiece of God's united and diverse people.
他是上帝所造的不同的创造物的一个中轴。
God's people have unity in what He did and who He is.
我们神的子民通过他有合一的表现。
We are incredibly diverse.
我们有众多的不同。
After Jesus came and died, and lived and died and rose again and ascended to the heaven and sent the Spirit, the church was born.
在主后的时间呢，那我们在所有地方呢建立起了主的教会。
And the church spread around the known world.
整个所有的教会呢都遍及世界的各地。
One place that it spread to was a city called Corinth.
那有一个地方呢就有一个教会，那个地方叫哥林多。
And this local church was acting in ways that did not fit with the unity and diversity that the church had.
那这个哥林多的教会呢，他们处事的方式不是很尊重我们的合一与多样性。
They were a problem church.
他们是一个有问题的教会。
So one of the main leaders of Christianity, the Apostle Paul, wrote them a letter.
因此呢，有一个主要的教会的领袖保罗就写了一封信给他们。
Now, I would like you to imagine with me a modern city.
现在我希望你能跟我想象一下，在一个现代的城市里
A fiery modern city.
一个非常的现代的城市。
Imagine a firefighting squad.
有一个消防队。
A squad who is not acting very well.
他们的功能呢不是非常的协调。
A squad that's not getting along together.
他们呢每个人没有互相喜欢，也没有好好的合作。
And not working together.
他们没有一起好好的工作。
Maybe the boss is a bit arrogant.
可能那个老板呢非常的自负。
And maybe the boss isn't prepared to get amongst the rest of the workers and help them.
可能那个老板呢没有想要跟他的工人们作为朋友。
And maybe the workers don't know how to do their job very well because the boss is like that.
可能他的下属呢不知道他们到底要做什么，因为他们的老板是这样子的一个人。
Maybe the driver of the fire truck is a bit impatient.
可能那个司机呢不是非常的有耐心的一个人。
Always leaving the station too quickly before people even get on the truck.
可能呢他离开那个消防队太早了，但消防员还没有上车。
I'm impatient for her to finish. Driving too fast on the roads to the fire.
开车开得太快，去那个火灾的地方。
sometimes getting in accidents on the way,
有的时候呢，在路上会出一些车祸，
which causes even more of a problem.
会导致更多的问题。
Maybe the people on the phone that take the phone call, they are not working well with the team.
可能接电话的人呢，也没有好好的跟其他的成员有一个好的团队工作。
And let's not forget the guy whose job it is to clean the fire hose.
也不要忘记了，也还有其他的工作人员，他们的工作呢是帮助所有的水喉做清洁的。
He has one job.
他有一个工作，
Take the hose out, clean it,
他的工作就是把所有的水喉拿出去，打扫干净，
let it dry out,
让它干，
put it back in the truck,
然后再放回去，
folded very neatly,
然后把它好好的整齐的叠起来，
so that it can be pulled out smoothly.
所以当他们用的时候，可以一下子被拉出来。
Or maybe this guy just doesn't care.
可能这个人他就不是很在乎这件工作，
And he just kind of pushes the hose into the truck.
他可能就把所有的水管就塞进去了。
And then whenever they get to the fires and they try to pull out the hose, it just wraps up and gets in kinks.
当他到火灾现场的时候，他们试着把这些水管拉出来，却所有的水管都已经绕在了一起。
That would be a mess.
这将会是一个非常
Well, now I'd like you to imagine an ancient city.
现在我让你来想一想，在一个古老的城市中，
It's the city that we were talking about just a moment ago,
那这个城市就是我刚刚有讲过的那个城市
Corinth.
哥林多。
They were incredibly divided.
他们呢有非常严重的分裂，
Not just the church, but the whole city.
不只是教会，是整个城市都是这样子。
Ancient Corinth had many seaports.
在古代的哥伦多有非常多的港口，
Lots of business people were shipping goods and sending goods from Corinth.
很多做生意的人呢都从这一些港口里接受他们的物品，还有发出他们的货品。
Lots of different types of people.
有非常多不同的人，
Lots of different types of languages.
也有不同的种类的语言。
Also, Corinth at the time of the first century was kind of a new city.
而且哥林多在第1世纪的时候呢，是一个非常新兴的城市。
It was trying to be as cool and trendy as Rome.
他们试着要变成一个非常酷的一个地方，
Very cool city.
非常酷的一个城市。
But some people, as the church spread to this city, you had the church that was trying to be cool and relate to the city around it.
当耶稣基督来，他的 message 来，他的信息来到这里的时候，这里的教会也试着想要成为一个非常酷的教会。
And what happened was that there were various divisions in the church.
所以呢，他们在教会里就有非常多的分裂。
You had the wise and the stupid,
他们有聪明的人和愚蠢的人，
the free people and the slaves,
有自由的人和奴隶，
the rich and the poor.
有富人和穷人。
Even there was confusion around how men and women were supposed to behave.
他们也在男人和女人是不是应该在一起聚会这件事情上所烦恼。
The church is designed by God to be united and diverse.
教会是神所立的一个多样但是合一的一个形式。
And I want to suggest to you this morning that unity, this diverse unity, is found between two extremes.
那这样的多样的合一的形式呢，是在两个极端的中间的。
At one extreme, you have uniformity,
一个极端呢就是一致性，
and at the other extreme, you have division.
那另外一个极端呢就是分裂性。
At one extreme, the church should not be characterized by uniformity.
在一个极端呢，教会不应该是一致的，或是一模一样的。
A human body is not made up of a stack of hands.
一个身体不是用一堆手组成的。
Or as Paul says in verse 17, a stack of eyes cannot hear, and a stack of ears cannot smell.
就像保罗在第17节说的：“若全身是眼，从哪里听声呢？若全身是耳，从哪里闻味呢？”
Uniformity sends a clear message.
一致的声音就说
It says, you have to be like us to be here.
你要像我们一样才能留在这里，
You have to be like us to belong here.
你要像我们一样才属于这里。
and it ends up excluding other people.
这就导致很多人被排除在外。
Now, at the other extreme,
在另外一个极端，
the church should not be characterized by division.
教会不应该是分裂的。
A human body does not function well when it's dismembered.
当一个身体失去了一部分肢体，就不会健康的运行。
As Paul says, the different members of the body need one another.
就像保罗说的，不同的身体的部分需要另外其他的部分。
Feet need hands, eyes need ears, eyes need hands, and head needs feet.
脚需要手，那眼睛需要耳朵，眼睛需要手，手也需要脚。
Division says two things.
分裂的声音会说
It either says, I don't belong here, so I'm leaving.
他们会说我不属于这里，所以我需要离开。
Or it says, you don't belong, so you should leave.
或者说你不属于这里，你应该走。
And so it divides.
所以就产生了分裂。
And it ends up excluding people.
结果是一样的，很多人会被排除在外。
Now, in between these extremes is the way that God has designed the church as a diverse unity.
在这两个极端的中间，就是神所创造的教会的形式，就是多样的合一。
Different members, one body.
他们会说我们是不一样的，但是我们是同一个身体。
All caring for one another.
我们会彼此照顾。
And all needing one another.
我们都互相需要。
Diverse unity has a clear message.
那多样的合一性有一个非常清楚的一个信息。
Diverse unity says we belong together even though we're different.
他说我们是属于彼此的，虽然我们都不一样。
Sometimes there's a member of the body that we might feel ashamed of.
有的时候我们身体的一部分可能我们会觉得不好意思。
Sometimes there can be a part of the body that we're very proud of and we put them up the front.
有的时候我们会觉得我们身体的某部分非常的体面。
But all of the body parts need one another.
所有的肢体我们都是需要。
And Paul talks in this passage about having concern for one another.
所以保罗在这里说我们要彼此相顾。
Elsewhere in the New Testament, Paul talks about weeping with those who weep and rejoicing with those who rejoice.
在罗马书的12章里讲到，我们要与哀哭的人同哀哭，喜乐的人同喜乐。
Now, I took a picture a few months ago.
那几个月前我就照了一张照片。
I was on a tour with my band that I'm in.
我和我的乐队呢一起在旅行。
And we went to Napier.
我们去了 Napier。
I woke up one morning.
有天早上我起床。
I'm the oldest in the band.
我是这个团队最老的。
And so I woke up the earliest.
所以我起来的最早。
And I went for a walk.
我就出去散步。
I took lovely pictures of the sunrise.
我就照了17张日出的照片。
And I also took the following picture that we're about to look at.
然后我也照了这张照片，我们这样看一下。
This is an advertisement for a clothing store.
这个呢是个服饰店的广告。
The slogan says, "Every body, every fit."
那这个广告它是说呢，尽管有不同的身体，总有一款适合你。
So what a lovely picture of unity and diversity.
这张图片非常好的表达了多样性与合一性。
The one clothing store can fit all kinds of people.
一个服饰店有衣服给所有的人。
All kinds of people, provided you're female, a model, good-looking, and thin.
所有的客户不只是你是男的也好，是模特也好看还是不好看，或者是男的，或者是瘦。
And probably, I think there's not too many races reflected there either.
可能呢，在这张图片上没有反映出有不同的种族。
Go to the next time you're at the magazine store or a place where there's a magazine. Look at all the pictures of people on the covers of magazines.
下一次呢，如果你去买杂志的时候，你看一看杂志上面的人的图片。
Look at the age.
看看他们不同的年纪。
Look at the smoothness of skin.
看看他们皮肤的光泽。
Often the gender. Sorry. The gender.
还有他们的性别。
there is not great diversity reflected in things like this.
他们呢通常都没有太多的多样性被表达在杂志上面。
So the question is, can our churches in Auckland and New Zealand and around the world, can we look a little bit too much like this?
所以我想问的是，我们的教会，我们新西兰，我们这个社会，我们可以像这些，我们是像这些杂志一样，只有一部分的只有一部分的形象吗？
Are we content with just a little bit of diversity?
我们觉得有这么一点点的不同就满足了吗？
I think in Auckland, the church has a problem with division.
我想在奥克兰教会有太多的关于多元化的问题。
We divide too much.
我们分裂的太多。
We divide over age.
我们分化基于年龄。
We divide over music styles.
基于我们音乐的风格。
We divide over church styles.
基于我们教会的风格。
Or denominations.
我们不同的教派。
We divide over ethnicities.
我们不同的民族。
Or even there's the cool churches and the not so cool churches.
还有我们有一些酷的教会和不酷的教会。
Churches full of young adults and churches with hardly any young adults.
教会呢有很多年轻人，还有教会没有一点年轻人。
It's a problem.
这是一个问题。
There is a sociologist at the University of Leeds.
社会学家在利兹大学。
His name is Zygmunt Bauman.
他的名字叫 Zygmunt Bauman。
Very good. He says this about consumerism.
他说呢，这是
Consumerism.
消费
主义。
消费主义。对 help you.
Okay, it's good. It's a dialogue. I think the mouth needs the ear.
Yes. 嘴需要你们的眼睛的耳朵。
Zygmunt Bauman says that consumerism is the principal operating force in modern society.
他说，消费主义呢是整个现代社会的一个主要的。
Consumerism is like a set of glasses that we look at the world through.
所以呢，这个消费主义呢，就像我们戴着一个眼镜在看世界。
We look at life like consumers.
我们看见所有的生命，我们都想着要怎么去消费它。
Always weighing up the option that suits us best.
所有的人都会想说，怎么样才能让这个世界变得更方便于我们？
Always shopping.
总是在买东西。
Shopping for a better relationship.
总是想要去购得更好的一个与人与人的关系。
Shopping for a better experience.
看怎么才能得到一个更好的一个经验。
Shopping for a better job.
怎样得到一个更好的工作？
Shopping for a better car.
更好的一个车。
Shopping for a better house.
和更好的一个房子。
Shopping for a better church.
然后找到一个更好的教会。
Consumerism affects modern Christians.
消费主义呢，就影响到我们现代的基督教生活。
And when we treat a church like we treat a phone, we mess up.
当我们对待我们的教会像我们对待一个电话的时候，我们就犯错误。
We get bored with our old phone.
当我们对我们的旧的电话感到无聊的时候，
So we toss it in the bin.
我们就把它扔掉。
And we can get bored with our old church.
我们也可能在我们的教会觉得很无聊。
So we move on to a cool church.
所以我们就会转到一个更酷的一个教会。
It's not always that simple.
可能不是走的这么简单。
Sometimes there are good reasons to leave a church.
有的时候呢，有很多正确的原因，让我们离开一个教会。
If Jesus is not being preached,
如果耶稣基督呢在教会没有被讲述，
there's false teachings.
他会有不正确的讲述。
But sometimes we can switch for wrong reasons.
但是很多的时候呢，我们可能换教会是为了一个很错误的原因。
I don't think we do this on purpose or intentionally.
我不认为我们是故意这样做的。
I don't think the Corinthians did it intentionally.
我也不认为哥林多人是故意这样做的。
But when we get proud of something, we're very good at this.
但当我们以一件事情为荣，或者我们非常擅长一件事情的时候，
When we get good at something,
当我们非常擅长于做一件事情，
Will we focus on one thing?
那我们太专注一件事情。
People who are not like that can feel excluded.
那不喜欢这些状态的人，可能就会觉得他们没有被包括在其中。
We need to be a diverse group of people.
我们需要一个多样化的群体。
So that all kinds of people can come and find a relationship with Jesus.
所以不同的人可以加入我们，通过我们来和耶稣基督建立关系。
Now these are just broad strokes.
这些只是一些我粗略的理解。
I don't have the solution.
我没有一个解决方案。
But I long for Auckland and New Zealand and the church and the whole world to be a diverse group of people that can bring all kinds of people to Christ.
但是我渴望奥克兰和新西兰，甚至是纽西兰的教会呢，基本上聚集了各类不同的人。
Now I do want to offer another thought.
我在这里想跟你分享一下我另外一个想法。
I think diverse unity is in between division and uniformity.
我想呢，在多元的合一性的中间，我想呢，在一致性和分裂性的中间是多元的合一。
And I think that love is what helps us to stay in the middle.
我相信呢，爱是让我们帮助我们在这中间的。
And that fear pushes us towards one extreme or the other.
那这里面的恐惧是把我们推向两个极端。
It is love that unites us across diversity.
那爱会穿过多样性，把我们结合在一起。
And fear pushes us towards uniformity or division.
那恐惧让我们朝向一致性或者分裂性。
Fear of missing out.
我们会恐惧，我们可能会被错过。
Fear of being left out.
我们恐惧会被抛弃。
Fear of not being noticed.
我们恐惧不会被人注意到。
Fear of not being liked.
恐惧我们不会被喜爱。
That's a fear I have.
这是我的一个心里的恐惧。
Fear of not being in a group that is pure and holy and perfect.
恐惧让我不是在一个纯洁、圣洁或者是完美的一个团体。
Or fear of somebody doing something divisive, so let's make everyone do the same thing.
恐惧的某人的行为会导致分裂，所以我们都做一样的事情。
Those kinds of fears can push us this way or that way.
这样子的恐惧呢，会把我们推向左边或者右边。
The Bible tells us that perfect love casts out fear.
那圣经告诉我们，完美的爱能除去一切的恐惧。
I wish this happened immediately.
我希望这种状况可以马上的发生。
But it's a process.
但是呢，这是逐步进行的。
We have to grow up and mature.
我们应该要慢慢的长大，然后变为成熟。
Gradually.
慢慢的。
We fear others less and less.
我会慢慢的害怕，更少的害怕。
As we grow up, less and less fear.
就像我们慢慢的成熟之后，我们害怕的东西就越来越少。
More and more love.
我们会慢慢的更有爱。
Love of God.
爱我们的神。
Love of neighbor.
爱我们的邻舍。
And even love yourself.
同样的爱你自己。
It doesn't happen automatically.
这不会自动发生。
And one of the ways that God does this is when we worship.
有一种方法呢，是可以帮助我们的，就是当我们在敬拜神的时候。
God grows us up as we worship.
神呢，通过敬拜赞美来帮我们转变。
Just quickly, I wanted to say what the 4 dimensions of worship are.
那在这里快速的，我想讲一下4种基本的敬拜。
There are 4 basic movements of corporate gathered worship.
就有4种不同的集体式的敬拜。
Of course, all of life is worship.
当然，我们所有的生命都是在敬拜。
But when we gather as a body,
当我们聚集在一起的时候，以一个身体
corporately,
这合一的敬拜。
we are shaped and matured away from fear and toward love.
我们在一起的时候，我们被塑造、被成熟，而远离恐惧，更接近爱。
When we gather, the first thing when we worship is that we are gathered from the world.
当我们聚集在一起，以一个身体来敬拜的时候，我们聚集在一起，我们离开这个世界。
And there are 2 things that the world does to us.
世界呢，对我们有2个作用。
The world causes us to forget who we are.
那这个世界让我们忘记了我们自己究竟是谁。
Because the world has all kinds of stories.
这个世界有很多不同的故事。
Through advertising.
通过广告。
And all the rest.
还有其他很多的东西。
We are told so many different stories
我们被讲述了很多不同的知识，
other than the story of the gospel.
但它都不是圣经所讲述的。
And so the world causes us to forget who
所
we
以
are.
所以呢，在这个世界会让我们忘记我们到底是谁。
This happens by Monday afternoon.
这些事情呢，这个状态从星期下午就开始。
The second thing the world does is it fragments us.
那第二个世界为我们做的第二件事情就是帮我们分离，
It dismembers us.
让我们离开我们的身体，
It makes us so busy,
让我们变得非常的忙，
running around trying to do so many different things,
跑来跑去的做不同的事情，
never actually slowing down and being with one another,
我们没有时间可以安静下来，可以真正的为互相而存在，
being with ourselves,
和为自己而存在，
being with God.
和神一起同在。
We forget and we are fragmented.
我们忘记了，我们其实在这个世界上已经被破碎了。
And so when we worship, we gather back together.
当我们敬拜赞美的时候，我们一起聚集在这里。
And when we read the Word
当我们读圣经的话语，
and we gather around it,
我们一起围坐在一起，
we are reminded
我们会重新的被认识到，
reminded who we are.
认识到我们究竟是谁。
And as we gather around the table,
让我们一起围坐在主桌前的时候，
we are put back together.
我们又重新成为肢体。
The fragmented body is remembered.
那破碎的肢体又重新聚合在一起。
The dismembered body is remembered.
那分散的一些肢体重新回到一起。
And then, having been reminded and remembered, we are sent back into the world.
我们有重新恢复我们的意识，然后重新成为肢体，然后聚合。
Corporate worship is meant to be a shared work.
那团队的敬拜赞美是一个互相分担的工作，
It's not supposed to be actually easy.
不应该是一个很简单的工作，
It's not necessarily supposed to be entertaining either.
也不会是很好看的娱乐表演。
It is work.
这其实是一个工作。
There's a Greek word for worship used in the scriptures.
在圣经中有一个希腊文是用来形容敬拜
Liturgia.
，liturgia，
And it means the work of the people.
这意思是人所做的工。
It's where we get the word liturgy from.
这是我们liturgia 敬拜仪式的词所原始词所liturgia 我有点旁边对，那这个就变成我们以后 liturgia 这个英文的词，它讲的意思是敬拜的仪式。
It just means working together.
其实就是说我们所有人在一起工作。
Worship is work.
敬拜是一个工作，
Especially when you have to do it with others.
特别是你要和别人一起敬拜。
I mean, it's hard enough to worship whenever you're on your own.
其实一个人的敬拜其实已经很难
You
了，
can pray whatever you like,
你可以随便你自己怎么祷告，
for as long as you like,
祷告很长时间都可以。
but it's hard to concentrate sometimes.
那有的时候你的注意力会不容易集中，
It's hard to focus.
你非常的难以去把你的精神集中在一起。
Private worship takes discipline,
那个人的敬拜呢也很需要纪律性，
but corporate worship takes caring about other people.
那在集体的敬拜仪式中，我们就需要照顾到其他的人。
I noticed when you guys were doing your Bible reading,
我注意到，当我们在读圣经的时候，
you did a good job.
我们做得非常好。
Leading it, the leader had to read at a pace so that everyone could read along.
我们的领读在上面读的一个速度呢，可以让所有下面的人一起跟随。
It's hard work.
这是一个非常难的工作。
But for us to worship together, we have to care about one another.
那让我们在一起的敬拜赞美呢，我们也需要去照顾到其他的人。
This work of worship that we do transforms us.
这样子一起的敬拜呢，是可以转变我们。
As we join together as a worshiping body,
我们呢在一起，组合成一个敬拜的身体，
and we worship God together,
我们一起来敬拜我们的神。
in spite of all of our differences.
尽管我们有很多的分歧和不同，
And we worship something like an orchestra.
我们 我们的敬拜赞美就像一个交响乐团，
playing the same music.
我们一起演奏同样一个乐章，
That's the unity.
这是我们的合一。
It's the same gospel.
这是就像我们用我们一个信息一样。
Ephesians 4
在以弗所书第4章
says there is one Lord,
说的，那里我们只有一个神，
one faith,
我们有一个信仰，
one baptism,
我们一个洗礼，
one Spirit,
一个圣灵，
one God and Father over all.
我们一个父神，
It's the same music,
这是一个乐章。
but we play so many different parts.
但是当我们演奏的时候，我们用不同的我们每个人演奏不同的部分。
It's a beautiful thing when we worship together in unity and diversity.
当我们一起多样的合一的敬拜的时候，是个非常美丽的事情。
If you were to ask 10 Christians
如果你要问10个基督徒，
how they like to worship,
他们喜欢怎样的敬拜赞美，
you'll get 10 pictures of 10 different worship styles at 10 different churches.
你会看到10个不同的图片，讲述10个教会怎么来敬拜赞美。
But if you ask 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 Christians,
但是如果你问100个、1000个，甚至100万个基督徒，
not how they worship, but who they worship,
不是他们怎样敬拜赞美，而是他们敬拜赞美谁，
you should get the same answer.
他们的答案都会是一样的。
And that is how we can witness to Jesus.
这就是为什么我们在我们的见证中可以见到我们的主耶稣基督。
Lots of different people,
我们有非常不同的多不同的人，
unified by the same God,
我们因为我们同样一个神而合一在一起，
the same gospel of Christ.
这是同样一个耶稣基督的救赎。
Amen.
阿门。
Amen.